Episode 8, The Last Jedi, the most recent Star Wars film in the series, the second one by Disney. And what did I think? Well, right off the bat, I would give this like an 8 or 8.5 out of 10. It's everything I wanted in a Star Wars film. I mean, there's a couple things. That's why I didn't get a 9 or a 10. Is I think it could have done a couple little different things. There's a couple things that annoyed me about the actual episode, but overall, I really enjoyed it. I really think you should go out to the theater and watch it because there's a couple moments where the THX surround sound is really tested out, and a couple of scenes where they really do go like right to left, and the whole you do feel slightly immersed into the film. And then there's a lot of beautiful scenes. Some scenes where I actually felt like they were trying a little too hard, but nonetheless, you've probably seen it in the trailer, like the red smoke, it was like, come on, like, they're obviously doing it for like eye candy, and to me it was a little try hard. It was still beautiful, and there was a lot of intergalactic opera-ness to it, which made it very stunning. The same kind of fights you want to see, the air fights, and then the chase scenes, the lightsaber battles, everything that you want to see, they do a really good job showing you that. So that's why I would pay a matinee to go see the movie. As far as it being entertaining, very entertaining. I went with my wife. She was very entertained by it as well. I think it was very up and down, and there's so many side stories going on at the same time, and none of them really dragged out. Even though this film is 2.5 hours, I never felt bored in any of those 2.5 hours. Where, like episode 1, oh geez, I was so bored in that movie. But we're not going to talk about that. That's going to be the forgotten one. The other great thing about this film, I think, is you don't necessarily need to watch the previous films for this film to make sense to you. I think you could still enjoy it, but there's definitely a lot of references and things like that. But they do a pretty good job referring back to it. So even if you're new to the series, I think it's still a really good movie. So at this point, I'm going to start talking about spoilers. So go watch the movie. It's really great. I highly recommend you see it in the theater because just that whole experience is amazing. And I have to say that the genre in general is getting better in my mind, especially from 7 to 8. I like 8 way more than 7. So it's getting better in my mind. And, it's not perfect, but it's better. So go watch it. So now this part might have some spoilers in it. So the humor was great. I like the bickering between the first commander and Kylo Ren. Those two characters bickering back and forth. That was really funny. And then there was a couple other moments where the whole audience actually laughed out loud. So that's something special about Star Wars, is it's not always serious. There's actually like a good amount of humor involved in it as well. Speaking of humor, there's those weird little like puffin type guys in this video. They remind me a lot of a puffin. There's also those like walrus looking things that the milk came out of. A couple little extra animals. Oh, there's those foxes. That is little crystal foxes, and then there is these like horse-like bobcat type animals, and some of them were cool. Some of them, they were not as bad as Jar Jar Binks, but because I think of Jar Jar Binks, I'm always like, oh God, what have they introduced to the Star Wars universe this time? But overall, I found them really cute, and I thought some of the scenes with them were actually well done. But still in the back of my head, I was always like, really? Like, are we really going here? The thing I don't like about this movie was that everything was, to me, kind of a remix. For example, the horse racing was, to me, like pod racing. They introduced pod racing in episode 1 or 2, whenever that was, and then they have the horse racing in this one. Instead of a cantina scene, they had a bar scene. They had that chase scene, which I feel like is in every single Star Wars. The Millennium Falcon going through a really tight space. It's almost in like every other Star Wars. So a lot of it to me was a little bit too predictable. But that's why I was saying earlier that I think it's what everybody wants in a Star Wars film. Like, they didn't disappoint in that they gave you everything. The chase scene, the big scene where you have a juggernaut, you have the rebels on one side and the first command on the other side, and there's this like standoff and shields and X-Wing and TIE fighter fights. So you get all those things that you expect out of a Star Wars film, especially the lightsaber battles as well. There's a few of those in there. Luke's character was okay. Mark Hamill, actually, from what I read, didn't like the direction they took the character, and I can see that. I think they really could have gone many different ways with that character. But I mean, overall, I'm not going to knock at any points on that. But I can see why Mark Hamill didn't like the direction that went off. I thought he acted really well. He had the stormtroopers, he had the lightsabers. I like that the red guys finally did something, because in like episode 6 or whatever, they just kind of stood there. And so it was cool to see like, oh, this is what these guys actually do. But again, going back to the formula, they're just kind of giving us everything we always wanted in a Star Wars movie. And to me, I like a little bit of a tease, a little bit of a not knowing and letting me like figure it out myself. So because of that, that's why I say I'm actually deducting kind of points, because they just did exactly what we wanted to see, what a lot of audience members were probably thinking. I think the diehard Star Wars fans are probably the ones that don't like this, where like people that are new to the series or maybe didn't like the originals might actually like these ones now. So go episode 6 as my number 1. Episode 5, episode 6, episode 4, episode 5, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, New Hope, episode, the one that just came out, The Last Jedi, whatever the one was before, The Force Awakens, and then would go 3, 2, 1, right? So almost reverse. No, it's not really close to reverse order, but you guys get it. That's how I would rate the Star Wars series. You know, something about the originals are just amazing. The CGI in this one didn't bug me as much as the last one. That guy in The Force Awakens, the CGI kind of bugged me. Other than that, I thought the CGI was really good. Something I really liked was in that one scene, they just muted all the audio. I think that's really powerful and kind of risky, right? Like to turn off all the power in the middle of a film, or all the sound. So I thought that was a cool idea right there, to give that a roll. Anyways, so I'm excited about it. Like I said, I think this is going in the direction of more of the masses, which is smarter from a financial standpoint, but I think that the diehard Star Wars fans probably hate it. They think it sucks, and they're doing more of the same. And they probably are, but the thing is, if you're speaking to the general public, people that just want to enjoy the film, they're probably speaking to those people. Those people who want like a really good sci-fi experience, something that really makes you think and, kind of is different, you're going to have to seek out some different film for that. All right, let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.